So the disaster management cycle, there are 4 main stages. We call it, or you can classify it into pre-impact, meaning before the hazard, and then post-hazard. So you have, the first thing is to be prepared. You have preparedness that will help with that, right? Preparedness or preparation. Then, of course, you're going to have the hazard impact, and that is going to determine now the response. So our response should be to save lives and minimize with immediate impacts, right? Minimize the immediate impact. Then recovery is after this hazard has happened, or if you have a disaster, how are we going to reconstruct and rehabilitate, right? Which is our recovery, which means getting back things to the state that it was once at, in terms of restoring electricity and water. Sometimes those are the first things that go. So you say to restore activities and services. If there are infrastructural damages, like in schools, offices, they're going to have to repair those things. You all understand? And then the last, well, this is sort of before as well, prevention, which is to minimize the impact of future disasters to come. So we always want to mitigate, which is implementing things beforehand. So for example, mitigation for hurricanes would be things like, of course, and flooding would be like building your house designed to withstand hurricanes. So if you have a more triangular roof, it would be difficult for the winds to just uproot it as opposed to a more flat roof. You all understand that? If you are building in a flood-prone areas, you want to build on stilts, yeah? Or on a national level, like our Twin Towers, you want to construct that building to an earthquake design so that it's earthquake-proof when earthquake takes place, and will have to minimize the damage that takes place. Everybody understand that? Right, so we have now all of the hazards that you need to know. You need to know earthquakes, you need to know volcanoes, you need to know hurricanes, landslides, and flooding. So because there are 4 groups, each group, we will leave out landslide. That one is easy, right? The others, you all are also familiar with it because we covered hurricanes already, right? Flooding is so common, you all should know flooding and landslides. Earthquakes and volcanoes is covered in plate tectonics, which we will go over. So if you all look to the back of the class, we have earthquakes, and this is how I want you all to be able to prepare in groups for our practical part, right? You're going to look at preparedness in terms of how to respond before, during, and after. You all understand that? And you're going to do that for each group is going to do that. So we're going to look at a disaster management cycle in terms of preparedness, yes, response, recovery, and those things is going to take care of before, during, and after. You all understand that? So before could be both mitigation and preparedness, response would be during, and then recovery is after. And you're going to be incorporating individual, community, national level, regional levels. You all understand that? So I want you all to come prepared next week with your information Thursday in groups for us to work on that. Yes? Next week you're getting a test. Remember I told you that?
Urbanization.
Test, urbanization, migration. Right? That is going to be the first, we have 2 periods. Yeah? Coast. So you're getting a test and you're going to be working on your models for depositional features and coast. So walk with your plasticine or walk with your paint. Depositional features, tombolas, pits, bars, the practical aspect of it. Right? If you look to the front, you have volcanoes here. You will see volcanic hazards. earthquake hazards. So another important thing that I want you all to identify is what are the hazards. So you're telling me if it's earthquake, what are the earthquake hazards? We have what we call primary hazards and we have secondary hazards. What do you think is primary hazards? Primary is what? If you are in primary and then secondary. First, primary means first. It is those things that happen actually while the earthquake is taking place, which would be things like shaking. You all understand that? But a secondary activity might be loss of water, loss of electricity. And these secondary impacts might be more long term. It might take a longer time to restore it. You all understand that? A building collapsing is a primary activity that happens in the moment. Yes? So I want you all to identify the primary and secondary hazards, right? You're going to do that for earthquakes, volcanoes, etc. All of them. And then before, during, after, right? There are some case studies here. You're seeing these case studies on volcanoes. They have Kikamjani. Kikamjani is our underwater volcano. So you all can utilize the posters around the class. They didn't go through tsunamis, but tsunamis and landslide, I will cover those. All right? Because it's still important to know about tsunamis. Everybody is clear on what is going to happen for the next couple of classes next week? Yes. All right, so I think that is